Hi, this is my newest video blog for the Exit West book that we just read. I enjoyed this book a lot more than the White Album. I liked that it was an actual story, whereas the White Album was just a bunch of essays. And I think that was the part that I had the most trouble with the White Album, was that it wasn't something I could just follow. I had to once the essay ended, the topic changed, and so I think that was kind of hard part. But with the Exit West, I liked that it was a story and it had a little bit of a love, well, not a little bit, the story was, it was a love story, and it was about these Nadia and Saeed and how they met, and I think I really connected with Nadia because she's very independent, and that's how I am too. I don't like to rely on anyone, and sorry, I'm looking at my notes over here. She doesn't really care about love and stuff in the beginning, and finally she eventually decides to go get coffee with Saeed, and then kind of flirt and whatnot, and they grow this relationship, and she's just very independent, which I really like, and she's kind of rebellious, which I think was kind of fun to read. She wasn't just some sappy lovesick girl in most of the books that happen that I've read. So that was kind of refreshing. Let's see, what else did I want to talk about? I think Saeed is kind of the opposite of what I am. So I guess I didn't connect with him as much because he gets bitter after Nadia doesn't want to kiss him or whatever, and refuses that. He kind of gets bitter, and seems just kind of kiddo, we get it, she didn't kiss you, move on, whatever, it's not that big of a deal, there's no reason to get bitter about it. I don't know. But I think I think throughout this entire story, their romance kind of represents, to me, it just kind of showed how some of the refugees that I've researched and stuff, a lot of their stories is that they have grown apart from the people that they loved throughout their journeys to different refugee camps, and I think that's kind of portrayed in this too. What was the other thing? Sorry. I decided I did like the doors in the book because I think it, during my research, the way that a lot of the refugees I read about got to cross the border is through smuggling. They got human smugglers, got them in, and it was this kind of secret kind of thing that they did, and that's what I think the doors represent, is this secret way to get across, and it's something that is kind of hush hush, and not a lot of people how do I explain this? It's just something that isn't just well known. You can't just cross the border, you have to go find a magic door. If that makes sense? You can't respond to me because this is a video, so that's cool. Let's see, what else? Okay, so I think that the author chose Greece and England and the US because those are the main places that refugees went to. Yeah, and I don't have my research pulled up right now, but a lot of the refugees would try and get to, the Northern Triangle, they tried to get to the US, and then I want to say it's South Sudan, tried to, I don't know, never mind, but it was just most of those tried to get to England, they tried to get to Greece for these safeties, and I think the part about how there was going to be this huge massacre of all the refugees is kind of a little bit exaggerated, but also a pretty accurate representation of what the people who, like, the native people of, like, Greece and the US, like, the Americans, like, that's how they thought of refugees, is of, like, oh, all these people are coming in and they're screwing up, like, our economy and all this stuff, and so we should just close our borders, like, we shouldn't let them in, they're, like, messing it. And I think that author kind of portrays that really well, by having all the people, like, the people in Britain, like, wanting to reclaim Britain and, like, wanting to, like, massacre all the refugees. And so I think that was really important. And then all these refugees, they're like, well, like, we're screwed already, like, we're here for safety, and yet they're, like, there's talk of massacring them. So I feel like they really aren't safe anywhere. I loved the end of the book because I think it was actually, like, realistic, because, you know, they, like, meet up again, and they hold on, let me find it. Oh, they went and got coffee again, which is kind of like how they started their whole friendship and, like, love story. Like, that's how it all started, so it kind of seemed like it circled back to them. And I thought that was really, like, I think it was really sweet. And then they talked about how they wanted to go to Chile and see the stars, and, you know, they hugged, and then they departed, and they wondered if they ever would. And I think that's pretty accurate. Like, I know personally, like, when I left for college, and I know it's not on the same scale as, like, a refugee, you know, but when I left for college, I made all these, like, oh, you know, and maybe one day we'll hang out again, or, you know, like, oh, maybe I'll see you again, and we'll go do this, but, like, it never happened. And it's one of those things, like, sometimes I'll see the people, and I'm like, oh, you know, maybe one day we'll go and get coffee, you know. It's just something that kind of, like, he stays in the back of the mind. It's kind of comforting knowing that, oh, maybe one day, you know. And I feel like that's what a lot of the refugees were feeling like, is that maybe one day they'll go home and they will find their family, or maybe one day, you know, they'll find that loved one that they once had. And it's just kind of it's like a little bit of hope inside their heart. Yeah. Yeah, so that was kind of what I think I had for the book. I think those are my main points that I wanted to say. I definitely want to read this book again. Now that I have, like, you know, I did the research, but then I read the book, but I think I want to, it's a book I'd read again. And, like, after reading a lot of, like, the refugee stories, like, doing the research and stuff, it really broke my heart, because, like, I haven't seen a whole lot of media attention for all these refugees. Like, I didn't know about South Sudan, and I didn't know about that. And I knew about, like, Afghanistan because my dad's been deployed there, but I didn't know the extent, and I didn't know that it was still, like, I knew it was still happening, but it didn't, like, it didn't seem to affect me, you know, which sounds super selfish, and, I want to help. And so, like, I think reading this book and, like, reading, like, all the research and stuff, it really, like, helped me connect a little bit more to what it was. This book reminded me of, what is it called? Oh, it's this book I read in school. I'm gonna pause, hold on.